So you've just picked up Escape from Tarkov and you're wondering, what on earth have I just bought? What is this game? What do I do on it? How do I get gear? How do I get items? That sort of thing. I've got a fairly respectable inventory, a few good weapons in here, but the first thing you need to understand about Escape from Tarkov is you are going to die a lot. It took me, admittedly, longer than it should have done to actually get to the point in this game where I can go into a majority of runs and hopefully come out with something good at the other end of it. Eventually you will be in the situation where you have too much stuff and you're having to start selling things or getting rid of things more often than you'd like to. Now the first thing in the game you're going to need to learn about is the two different types of character you can play as. You can play as your PMC, which is a soldier character that is essentially you, that's your person, and a scav, which is another character hired or employed by your first character to go into runs and bring them back gear. A scav will be not fired on by other AIs in the game, so the scavs are usually AIs or bots, and other scavs will not fire on a scav player unless you provoke them. And there can be any number of other scav players in the match with you as well, so you need to watch out for them, because a lot of the scav players are more than happy to shoot another scav if they've got something they want or they don't trust them. The PMCs, on the other hand, everyone is pretty much your enemy. There are two separate teams in the game, the Bears, which are the Russian operators, and the USEC, which are the American operators. Now, at the moment, absolutely no teamwork is going to happen in this game. If you see another player, whether they're a scav or a PMC, as a PMC, I would always recommend you shoot them on sight, because they are not going to team up with you, and if they do, they're probably going to stab you in the back the first chance they get. Now, your first run in Tarkov is going to be a pretty bad one, to be honest with you. I would recommend probably buying something cheap. So you will have started the game with 300,000 rubles, or somewhere around that depending on which edition you got. If you go to Skier, which is this trader here, you can buy the TOZ shotgun, which is this one which will load here in a second. There it is. For 6,000 rubles. So if we click fill items and then deal, that's how you buy something. May sound super obvious to you, but it actually took me quite a while to work out how you buy something from the shop. It's a really weirdly laid out menu, but yeah, you just press fill items and then deal to actually complete the transaction. Now for this shotgun you're going to need some of these mags here, which are the 2 shots, or if you've unlocked a higher level with Skier, you'll have these 4 shot options available here. So I'm going to get 2 of these and buy some shells for these, which are these 20 by 70 buckshot rounds. When you want to load up a weapon so you can go into Tarkov, you want to make sure it's actually got ammo inside it. Now this shotgun here comes with no ammo inside it, as you can see here. So to get the magazine out of it, right click on the gun, click unload, which will get you this magazine here, pop some shells into that, and then pop your magazine back into the gun, and it's now loaded. If you want to check whether the gun's loaded or not, you can go to inspect, and you can see down here that the gun has got a magazine in it. If you want to be super careful, you can chamber an extra round, 2 shells in the magazine, and 1 shell inside here on this gun in the chamber. Most guns follow this same rule, but with a gun like this where there's only 3 shots, including the magazine, it can really help if you've got an extra shot in there. So I would recommend buying this TOZ shotgun, and we'll go for a practice run with this. Now, the other thing you need to understand is your pouch or container. Depending on which edition of the game you've got, you will get a different size container. I've got essentially the 4 out of 3 edition, so I get a 6 square container. I can put anything I want in here. What people will often store in here is if they have a key bar, which is an item that can contain keys which you use to open doors within the game, they put it in there. Most people also put some meds in there, and one thing I would always recommend you buy, and you should never ever go into a raid without if you can avoid it, is at least 1 set of painkillers. If you get shot in the legs, you won't be able to run unless you're carrying painkillers. I would set yourself up with a med kit, such as an IFAK, which you can buy from Peacekeeper here for a few $100s. Sorry, not a few hundred, just a few dollars. Or if you can't afford them or can't find them, you can also buy the AI2 med kits from Therapist. However, they won't stop bleeding, so you will also need a bandage, one of these 2 bandages here as well. Now I've got our character set up with some basic stuff. We're going to choose a map. So to play the game, you actually click Escape from Tarkov, choose the character you want, and currently there are 4 maps available to you in the game: Woods, Customs, Factory, and Shoreline. Each of them available at day or night time. Woods is a long-range map with very few buildings and mainly forest-based combat, as the name would suggest. Customs is a mainly building-based but semi-medium to long-distance fights usually, with some close-quarters battles here and there. Shoreline is generally long-range and is a good mix of buildings, forests, open roads, and personally is my favourite map just due to the sheer variety of areas you've got within that map. And Factory is a tiny map the equivalent to Rust on Modern Warfare 2 if you ever played that, or any really small map you can remember from any game you've played where it's just constant carnage. You go into Factory and you're probably not going to come out alive, but if you do, you may get out with some really good stuff. If you want to get used to the combat in Tarkov and get sort of into it quickly, I would recommend playing on, Factory just for a few runs, maybe 5 or 10 runs, just to get used to how all the guns work, how the character moves around, how the fighting works. You're going to go into this map and you're probably going to get a fight within the first minute or so. It's super dense. So once you've chosen your map, you progress through the screens as I showed there. You're probably going to want to insure your stuff. I would always recommend insuring stuff, even if it's really cheap, like the TOZ shotgun, because once it's insured, if you lose it and no one else picks it up, you'll get it back. So it's always worth doing. Once you've done that, you click ready on this screen. Now, one note for you if you're playing with friends, on this screen here, you both follow the same steps to this point. Make sure you choose the same time of day, and on this screen here you'll be able to search for your friend. So if I was playing with a guy called, for example, let's use Shala here on this list, I would search for this person's name and click invite into group. That would mean we'd get put into the match together and would spawn in next to each other. So, let's get into the map and see what happens. Now, if you're waiting for the game to load and nothing seems to be happening, if your timer goes over maybe 2 or 3 minutes on the loading screen, I would recommend either closing the game or going back to the main menu and trying again. With the game being in its early stages at the moment, it's only just entered beta, a lot of the time you are going to, get stuck in queues waiting to get into a match or something like that. Now, we've spawned into Factory here, and I'm going to take a little bit of a step back here into this back room just to show you how some of the things work on the gun. Now, a few little key commands you might want to learn in Tarkov. Shift and T will check your chamber, like that, and that shows you've got a shell inside your weapon. If you press Alt and T, that will tell you in the bottom right corner how many shots are left in your magazine. With this gun it says 2, but with most guns it will say half empty, nearly full, nearly empty, or empty, based on how full the gun is. You can right click to aim down your sights as usual, left click to shoot, which I'm not going to do now because I'm sure you can work out what that looks like. The next key you're going to learn about is Tab. Tab will show your inventory screen, and this is where you'll be spending a lot of time if you ever get shot or hurt, which in this game you are going to get a lot. To use something in your inventory, such as a medkit, right click, use, or if you want to use it on a specific limb, left click and drag it to the specific body part you want to use that item on. Now, if you want to do any more of the advanced moves, for example, you can scroll up and down on your mouse to adjust your character's speed, which you can see in the bottom left corner. You can also adjust your character's height by holding C and scrolling. You can move between crouching and standing doing this. If you want to lie down, you want to press the X key by default. The last move you want to learn is Alt and Q and Alt and E, which lets you peek round corners like this. So Q and E will let you peek like this, or Alt and E will let you step to the side like that. It will expose you more when you're peeking around a corner, but it can be a good way of getting a surprise on someone. If you hide behind a corner, you just pop out. Oh, didn't work. Pop out like that, bang, gone. Bang, gone. Easy way of getting some kills by using your controls. One other thing you want to learn obviously is space is jump, as you would expect, and any more movement is usually what you would expect from a first person shooter. The only thing that's a bit weird is if you hold Alt and press W, you can fire your gun over your head like this to shoot over cover, or you can hold Alt and S to peek your gun round a wall like this. So you can use that to shoot round corners without fully exposing yourself. The controls are a little bit complicated, but if you do need to read over them again or listen to what I've said again, just skip back to that part of the video there and it'll give you a really good basic explanation of what the controls are in this game. Now hopefully we're going to go into this map here, try and find some guys to shoot, and hopefully get out with some gear. But do be prepared, you are going to die a lot in this game. One thing to be aware of as well is when you sprint, like I just did there, you could hear my footsteps were pretty loud. Other players can definitely hear your footsteps and will hunt you down if they can hear where you are. The scavs also do, but they're not as pinpoint as players, so they may hear you, and sometimes they'll know where you are, but they will not hear you from the other side of the map like players will. They're a little bit deaf by comparison. So, let's have a look. One thing I would recommend as well is if you want to sneak around, scroll down until your scroll bar in the bottom left corner is as far down as you can afford to go. You want to move quickly, scroll it up a bit more. You want to move slower, scroll it down. The slower you're moving, the quieter you will move. So if you really want to be silent, scroll it right down to the bottom, and you are all but silent while moving like that. Now this is the factory map, and as I said, it's fairly popular and fairly busy usually. Oh, actually we can see a player there running across the top. I want to see if we can take him out. He looks like he's got a bit better gear than us. He had a helmet on or something on his head there, so I'm not liking my chances, but I may as well give it a go. Now body armor in this game is extremely powerful. If you shoot someone in the chest with body armor, you may actually not kill them, and the body armor could just take the entire shot for you. Watch out, someone down there. He's seen me.
Oh, look at him, goddamn.
He's shouting at me because I hid. You can press Y as well to taunt other players, which is what he did there. Now I'm going to try this. If I can sneak along here, maybe able to get behind him. Let's see. Probably going to get shot in the arse here by somebody else, but could be a risky move that pays off. Oh, there he is. That's the guy we saw. Oh my god, there's a lot of people around here. There's a player down there as well to the left, as you probably just... Oh, he's hit me. Oh, gosh. That was a close one. Okay, so I'm injured now. Now, this isn't too bad because we're blacked, which means we can no longer run. If you're blacked, you're going to want to sort that out as soon as possible. Otherwise, this is going to happen. Oh, no. Ah, well, he got to us, but you get the general idea. I'm going to go and try now on an offline run, which is something you can do, which is essentially consequence-free. This time, I think one of my AKs to show you a few bits more about the game. He's going to take a few mags with us there. Are these the right mags for the AK? Let's just double check. They are, yes. If they're the wrong magazines for a gun, or they're loaded with the wrong type of bullets, when you try and drag the magazine onto the gun, once it's unloaded, which you can do by right-click and unload, if you drag the magazine on, the gun will go red, and that means it's not going to work. So, let's grab a gun. I'm going to grab some armor, which isn't probably going to be something you've got, and head into the match. Now this is a really good way, if factory doesn't work for you, as it didn't there for my example, of getting used to the game. When you get to this point in the menu, click this box here, and click Enable PvE. Enabling PvE will turn on bots in this offline match. If you just want to have a wander around, get used to where things are, get used to where things spawn, maybe turning PvE off is a good idea, but if you want to really get used to how the game works, I would recommend this because, you know, as you saw there, factory runs can be a little bit messy sometimes. And going in with just a shotgun, you know, it works and it can be a really good way of making money, as I mentioned in my other video. But if you don't get a good start and you get attacked by someone else like that guy and those two guys that came after me, with actual good gear, you're going to struggle. Gear in this game can give you a huge advantage, but it does not make you invincible. If you find someone who's fully armoured up with the heaviest armour, the heaviest helmet and the best gun in the game, if you're lucky enough and you sneak up behind them, you know, you'll quite easily take them out if you land a good headshot on them. Any sort of rifle is going to rip through a helmet in one, maybe two shots, worst case scenario. Now these are some bots here. As you can see, the bots can be a little bit dumb. They don't always know where you are, and if you're using a suppressor, like I am here, they are really going to struggle to track you down. So suppressors are some really good gear to get hold of if you manage to spot any, or if you see any in a raid when you loot something, I would recommend picking them up because they are really powerful. Another control to point out is if you've got a torch or a laser sight on your gun, you can press T to toggle it on and off, and if you've got one that does both, so a torch and a laser built in together, you can press Control and T to toggle between the two of them, to toggle between the torch and the laser. The controls are very complicated on this game, but after a little bit of practice and a little bit of playtime, you will get used to the way the game works. One other useful control is Alt and T, which will check the mag as I mentioned earlier, and don't forget Shift and T, which is to check the chamber. Generally isn't that useful at the minute in the game, but I believe they're going to be adding jamming, weapon jamming and things like that, so you know, that could be something in a few months that's useful when the game has progressed a little bit more. So there's one. There's his friend. Okay, so let's have a look what this guy had on him. So you want to loot a body, you walk up to the body, press F to interact with it. When you look at a body, you're going to see all these various things here that you can interact with straight away. However, there are going to be some things here which say unsearched on them. All you could do is click search here, and your character will rustle through their bag and try and find anything on them they've got that's useful. Once it's finished searching, you can move on to the next thing. One thing to be aware of as well while searching is you cannot right click on any items to use them, so while you're searching you are kind of stuck a little bit, so I'd always keep an eye out for people before you start searching, because once you're searching, you know, you're basically a sitting duck while you're looking through the stuff. Okay, so we've grabbed his gun, which we can swap to by pressing 3. Your weapon slots work as follows. Number 2, keep number 3, number 1, and V. Number 1 will always swap to your sidearm, 2 is your first primary weapon, and 3 is your second primary weapon. I would never recommend bringing more than one primary weapon into a raid, because you're probably going to find something you want to take out with you while you're in there, and you know, you want that space to put that gun and not have to put it in your backpack, because a lot of the time guns will not fit in the backpack you've got, or they will fit, but it will take up a lot of space that you could have used to carry other items, or maybe even another gun. The scavs do spawn in waves, so if you don't find any in factory for a little while, and you wanted to stay in here and practice a bit more, just have a wander around back and forth between the different ends of the map, and they will eventually appear for you. Now within factory there is also, I suppose, one of the most important things to learn about the game is how to escape. Now when you're done in an area and you want to leave, you can escape from Tarkov, effectively, I suppose is the way you would say it. These escapes are different for each map, however the ones on factory are as follows. There is one through that door there, which is labelled 0, however you need a key to open that door. If you head straight down the other end of the room, so we're going to go here through the offices to get there. So, the other door is this one here, labelled 3. This is the main exit that 90% of players on this map are going to be using. You open this door here, go past the container, open this door here. Again, both very noisy, so things you want to watch out for, because other players are going to hear them, and stand against this wall. The extraction timer will start counting down. Once it reaches 0, you will be pulled out of the map, and you will be able to escape from Tarkov with everything you've got on you, and once you've got that on you, you can put it in your inventory and use it on any future raids, or sell it to the traders, do whatever you want with it really. Until you leave Tarkov though, everything you've got on you, besides what's in your container, is not yours really. Oh, some more scavs have spawned, okay. Let's see if we can sneak up on this guy. He's dropped down the other side. Notice how I'm scrolling down to keep my footsteps very quiet. He hasn't heard me, so we take him out nice and easy with a silenced shot. His friends heard the shot though. There he is. Oh, he's lying down. The scavs... Oh, he's throwing a grenade. If you hear that noise there, that noise of something rolling, you want to run. Because grenades are going to mess you up, especially if you've not got any body armor on. Grenades do a heck of a lot of damage in this game, and if you're stood right on top of one, chances are you're probably going to die. Oh shit, he's still alive. There we go. So, we've taken out a few more enemies here. You want to loot them up, grab their stuff, and to be honest with you, once you've filled your inventory on factory, I would recommend just getting out of there as soon as possible, because any longer you spend in factory is just more time you're risking what you've got. In that firefight I think I got hit. I did, in the left leg. So, if you've taken an AI2 with you, all you need to do to drag that over to your left leg or your right leg and let go of it, it will start to heal, and you can leave the inventory screen and it will carry on healing while you're not in that screen. If you've got something like a status effect, for example bleeding, which you will see underneath it here, one little squares will appear under the body part. If you're bleeding, you want to deal with that as soon as possible. The longer you are bleeding, the more health you're going to lose, and if you bleed for long enough, your other limbs will start to bleed and it will get worse. Bit of a weird system, but blood loss is a very dangerous thing in Escape from Tarkov, so watch out for that. The other important thing to be aware of in Tarkov is when your limbs get blacked, which sounds really weird. It's a very strange thing to say, but when this bar here goes black with a red outline around it and the leg appears black here on this screen here, that means that it is broken. So if your head is blacked, 90% of the time you'll be dead. If your legs are blacked, that means you can't run without painkillers. If your arms are blacked, when you aim down sight, your character's going to be like this. Really, really wobbly and difficult to aim. The only way of dealing with that in-game is to either use morphine or painkillers. Using either of these will stop the effects of the blacked limb, but only for a couple of minutes. So if you've got blacked legs and you need to get out of there, I would take painkillers or morphine if you've got it, and just get out of there as fast as you can. When a limb is blacked, it doesn't just affect how you move, it will also affect how other players can kill you. If a limb has been blacked, then getting shot in that limb probably is going to kill you. In some situations it won't, it's a percentage chance when you get hit, but chances are if you get shot in a blacked limb, you're probably going to die. Bit of a weird phrase I know, saying something's been blacked, but that's what the community calls it, and it's... One thing to look out for as well are these lockers. They can often spawn things. Bodies like this guy here, which spawn in with the map. They're not real bodies, they've not been killed by anyone, they're just there from the start of the map. And the green boxes, which can often contain military loot. Let's see. Oh, people running. The scavs know where I am. They've heard the shots. Let's see, one of them's going to come around here, I reckon. Hit him, but he's not dead. Oh, shot from behind. Taking him out. Where's his friend? He's hiding. The scavs, while they appear quite stupid, can sometimes be fairly intelligent. That one wasn't one of them. They can sometimes hide in cover, or they will try and flank you if you know where they know where you are, like this guy here did. So I'd watch out for them, especially if you hear them shouting. Especially if they're doing the really long shouting. There's one scav voice line in particular that lasts about 2 minutes, and there's this one guy shouting and mumbling in Russian. If you hear that, then they're definitely aggressive towards you in that situation, and you want to watch your back, because they can come from any direction. You know, they know the map's better than you, and they will try and flank you, come around you, come to you from angles you would not expect. Like this guy here. Where is he? He's here. You hear him shouting? He's angry because I killed his friends, so... Oh. There's another one to my left as well. He's going to try and flank me. There he is. Oh, I'm out of ammo. You hear that click, you want to put more bullets in your gun pretty quick. One little control. See, I've been hurt here. Oh, he's down. His friend's trying to push up on me. There we go. Survived that gunfight, but only just. That was a close one. You don't want to get distracted like I've been doing here by talking, you know. The scavs will push up on you and they will try and kill you ruthlessly. Let's just double check my health here, just to get into the habit of it. So, legs are okay. These are repairable. So we heal them up with a medkit. You can use the same medkit multiple times. Each time you use it, its number will go down. So this is on 104 right now, but when we use it, it drops down a certain amount. I think it's based on how much damage you've taken on that limb when you use the medkit. So let's heal myself up. Blood on your screen is usually an indication that you've been shot. If you keep seeing blood appearing on your screen repeatedly, like new drops appearing, that means you are bleeding and you're going to want to do something about that. So let's escape from Tarkov now. Okay, we're escaping from the extraction point. Got to wait a couple of seconds to get out of here. And we're in the clear. After a normal match on Tarkov, you will come to this screen here, where you'll get XP for what you did, and it will show you a list of every scav you killed. If you collected the dog tags off of any players, it will also show them in this list and how you killed them. Any dog tags you do gain, I would really recommend keeping, because you can sell them to therapists, as I mentioned in my other video, for a heck of a lot of money. So it is really definitely worth keeping any of that stuff you get. If there's any more questions or problems you've got with Tarkov, or you think, you know, I may be able to help, I'm not exactly the oracle of Tarkov, but I've played the game quite a bit over the past few months. Failing that, the Tarkov subreddit is actually a pretty good place to talk to other players about the game. Thanks for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it.